One of the problems with recruiting for investment banking is not the knowledge or skills you acquire, but the access to talk with real investment bankers to put your best foot forward. Our sponsor, WSO Academy, can provide those connections with 60 head mentors who are finance professionals at top firms like Goldman, Centerview, and JP Morgan. Imagine being able to get on the phone within 24 hours with one of the Academy's 1,300 mentors right before a critical interview. Get on the waitlist for WSO Academy today by clicking the link in the show notes or by visiting wallstreetoasis.com/academy. All right. Welcome to the Investment Banking Insights podcast. My name is Alex Mason and I'm your host, and I am so glad that you're here. Thank you for joining me because, look, we're learning a lot of great things here. This is the show where we're dedicated to exploring both the technical and non-technical aspects of the investment banking process. And I'm going through this journey myself, incoming MBA student here, and just learning so much about the field of investment banking, about accounting, about all of these different things that are important to learn as you and I transition to this profession. So today I want to talk about a very important concept. Man, this is a big one. And I can almost guarantee it's going to come up in interviews because everybody I've talked to says, yeah, they talk about this pretty much. It's just one of those questions that just keeps coming up. And if you don't understand it, you're going to be in a bad spot. So let's go ahead and talk about it. We're going to be talking about depreciation and amortization. Now, first of all, I want to start with simple definitions because we have to understand the basics before we can build up from there. What is depreciation? Well, depreciation is just a way of declining the useful value of a fixed asset over time. So we're taking something that is an asset and we're saying that as time progresses, it's worth less and less. Now, why would we do this? Why does this accounting convention exist? It's because things wear down and naturally lose their value with use and with time. Think about buying a new car straight off the lot. Well, its value immediately starts to diminish over time because of both usage and also technological obsolescence. So when you depreciate something in an accounting sense, you're spreading out the cost to acquire that asset over time. And accumulated depreciation is a concept that shows up on the balance sheet, which is the sum of depreciation charges that you've accounted for since the asset was first acquired. So let's say that you buy a car. Let's call it a Corvette, a really nice new sports car. And let's just say you buy it for $100,000. Now, you might charge $10,000 of depreciation that first year, and then another $10,000 in the second year. And so at the end of the second year, your accumulated depreciation is $20,000, right? 10,000 plus 10,000 equals 20,000. Now, one thing that's important to note is that depreciation, it doesn't affect the cash on the balance sheet. It doesn't decrease the cash on the balance sheet. It's just a charge that you're making. You're writing down the value of the asset over time. So remember, when you actually purchase the asset, that's when you paid with cash. That's when your cash decreased. Depreciation does, however, lower our profits or our net income. So that's an important distinction. It doesn't affect the cash on the balance sheet, but it does lower our net income. Now let's talk about amortization. Amortization, just a fancy way of saying that we're writing off the cost of something over time. That's what's happening with depreciation. The cost of an asset is amortized over time, and then there's this accumulated depreciation on the balance sheet. So most of the focus really in these questions is going to be on depreciation. Amortization is just a way of saying spread out over time. Kind of like if you get a mortgage on a house, your loan is amortized over a certain period, usually a 30-year period. So just if you see that term, now you know what it means. So now that we understand depreciation a little bit, what's going on with the financial statements when it comes to depreciation? Well, when an asset is initially purchased, cash goes down on the cash flow statement, which makes sense, right? We're paying for something. Your property, plant, and equipment, your PP&E, or also known as your capital expenditures, or CapEx is an abbreviation for that, that goes up as an expense on the income statement. So cash goes down on the cash flow statement. Your PP&E goes up as an expense on the income statement. And then moving over to the balance sheets, you've just bought an asset, right? So your fixed assets goes up on your balance sheets. Now, as time progresses, this is where things begin to change, right? This is where we begin to really see the effects of depreciation take place. Now, the asset becomes less and less valuable. So that Corvette is just losing value over time and gets a couple of dings in it, maybe gets rusty, and it's definitely not worth $100,000 anymore. It becomes worth less and less. So that depreciation accumulates, and accumulated depreciation sits on the balance sheet and it lowers the net value of the asset. So take our Corvette example. After 2 years, you have $20,000 of depreciation that's accumulated. So now the Corvette is worth just $80,000, but we spread out the cost of acquiring the Corvette over time. So that's a basic thing that we need to understand. So remember, when we purchase an asset, cash goes down on the cash flow statement. Your PP&E goes up as an expense on the income statement. On the balance sheet, your assets go up because you've purchased something. And then over time, as you depreciate things, your assets on your balance sheet goes down because you have accumulated depreciation. So that's something to keep in mind. And we're going to talk about how you account for depreciation on the cash flow statement here in a couple of episodes when we talk about changes of depreciation. But I just wanted to have this episode here for you today just to introduce the concepts if you've never heard it before. Okay, so that's what we got for you today. We're going to be looking at some other very important financial statement connections in the next episode. And this is a really good one. I'm really excited about this one because we're going to be talking about some rules of thumb that are really important that you're going to need to understand for making connections between these three statements. All right, I'll see you next time. This has been Investment Banking Insights. My name is Alex Mason, and I'm your host. Have a great day. Hey, what's up? Alex here. Just recording this after publishing this episode. I have to apologize. I made a technical mistake here in this episode and just wanted to clarify. Thank you to the listener who pointed this out to me. But effectively, when you're looking at buying PP&E, property, plant, and equipment, and you capitalize it, the income statement isn't affected for that transaction. It would really just be the cash flow statement where you would see the outflows in the cash flow from investing section, but the income statement does not get hit when you capitalize your property, plant, and equipment. If you would do that, then your expenses would look like they would happen twice. So that doesn't happen. Sorry for the mistake, and I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next episode.